So is San Antonio still a good place to live in 2026? Because if you've been paying attention to the national headlines, you might think we've fallen off a cliff. U.S. News and World Report just recently dropped San Antonio out of their top 100 best places to live list. Out of the top 100. And look, I'm not here to trash those rankings. They measure certain things. That's great. But here's what I am here to do. I'm Scott Peck. I've been selling real estate in San Antonio for over a decade, and I'm going to give you the real local truth about what it's actually like to live here in 2026. Because here's the thing, while we've dropped of those rankings, our metro area has hit 2.56 million people. So either 2.56 million people are making a terrible mistake, or maybe there's more to the story. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to break down the good, the bad, and the honest truth about living in San Antonio. We're going to talk about why people are still moving here, what makes the city special. And yes, we're going to talk about the real problems too. Because if you're thinking about moving here, you deserve the whole picture, not just the highlights. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the elephant in the room, or maybe should I say the wallowed in a room. Why do people move to San Antonio? One word, affordability. And I know, everyone says the city is affordable, but let me show you the actual numbers, because this is where San Antonio truly shines compared to other major markets. San Antonio's overall cost of living sits about 9% below the national average. Now, that might not sound like much, but here's where it gets really interesting. Housing, which is typically your biggest expense, is 21% cheaper than the national average. 21%. That's not a rounding error. That's real money savings in your pocket every single month. Let's put this into perspective with real numbers from 2025. The median home price in San Antonio is hovering right around $310,000 to $330,000, depending on the area. Now compare that to Austin, where you're looking at $550,000 to $600,000 for a median home. That's almost double. Dallas is sitting around $380,000 to $420,000. Here's what that actually means. In Austin, you might be looking at a 3-bedroom townhouse for about $600,000. In San Antonio, that same budget gets you a 4-bedroom house with a pool in a great school district. I've seen this play out hundreds of times with my clients, and it's not just housing. Your day-to-day expenses, your groceries, utilities, dining out, they're all more reasonable here. You can actually go out to dinner without taking out a second mortgage. You can buy groceries without calculating every item in your head. This is a city where a family of 4 can live in generally middle-class lifestyle on a middle-class income. And in 2026, that increasingly rare in major American cities. Now, and this is there is a trade-off. And we're going to talk about it in detail later in this video, but I need to mention it now because it's the biggest financial caveat to living here. Texas has no state income tax. You've probably heard that, and it's true. It's one of the selling points for the whole state. But we have some of the highest property tax rates in the country. The average effective property tax rate in Bexar County, that's San Antonio, is around 2.2 to 2.5 of the home's value or assessed value. That's $6,900 a year or $575 a month just in property taxes on a $300,000 house. Some areas are higher, some are lower, but that's the ballpark. For comparison, if you lived in a state like Florida, where they might pay 1% in property taxes, but then you'd also be paying 5 to 6% in state income tax on your earnings. It's a different calculation. The point is, yes, San Antonio is affordable. Yes, you can get more house for your money, but you need to factor in those property taxes when you're doing your budget. We'll dive deeper into this later, but I wanted to have that full picture from the start. Bottom line on affordability, if you're coming from California, New York, or even Austin, your money goes significantly further here. If you're coming from a low cost of living area in the Midwest or South, you might not see as dramatic a difference, but you get access to major metro area amenities at a cost that still makes sense. And for a lot of people in 2026, especially young families, remote workers, and people in the building wealth phase of their life, that equation is really compelling. So we've established that San Antonio is affordable. Great. But a city's not much good if you can't find work, right? Let's talk about the economy and what's actually driving growth around here. Now, San Antonio doesn't have that explosive headline-grabbing growth that Austin had. We're not adding 10,000 tech jobs a month, and honestly, a lot of locals are kind of fine with that. Our growth is steady, about 1.23% every year. It's sustainable, it's controlled. We're not bursting at the seams, but we're also not stagnant. And there's something to be said for that kind of measured expansion. So here what makes San Antonio's economy unique. It's diversified in a way that a lot of Texas cities aren't. Yes, we have tech. Yes, we have healthcare, but we also have something that provides incredible economic stability. Joint Base San Antonio, JBSA. This is one of the largest military installations in the country. We're talking about over 80,000 active duty military members, plus their families, plus civilian contractors, plus all the economic activity that supports them. The military presence here is massive. It's Lackland Air Force Base, Fort Sam Houston, Randolph Air Force Base, all combined. This provides economic ballast most cities would kill for. When the tech sector has a rough year, and we all see what happened in 2023 and 2024 with those layoffs, the military is still here. When real estate markets fluctuate, the military is still here. It creates a floor under the economy. And here's the ripple effect. Military families need housing, they need services, they use schools, they shop locally. This creates consistent demand across multiple sectors. Beyond the military, San Antonio has a major healthcare hub. We've got some of the best medical facilities in Texas, UT Health, San Antonio, Methodist Healthcare, South Texas Medical Center. We're also quietly becoming a cybersecurity hub. A lot of people don't know this, but San Antonio is actually the second largest cybersecurity center in the country after Washington, D.C. That's driven largely by the military presence, but it's expanding in the private sector. And here's something newer that's gaining a lot of momentum. Data centers. San Antonio is becoming increasingly attractive for data centers development. We've got the land, we've got the infrastructure, we've got relatively low costs compared to other major metros, and we've got the power grid, which, yes, has had its issues in Texas, but San Antonio actually has its own municipal utility, CPS Energy, which gives us a bit more stability. Now, when I talk to people about where the growth physically happening, there are some clear patterns. The Hill Country expansion, Bernie, New Braunfels, the areas northwest and northeast of the city, that's where they're seeing significant residential and commercial development. People want that Hill Country lifestyle, more land, newer construction, better schools in some areas, but they still want access to San Antonio jobs and amenities. So these suburbans are absolutely booming. The job market here isn't going to wow you with massive tech companies, headquarters relocations like Austin, Scott, but it's going to give you options across healthcare, military contracting, cybersecurity, hospitality, and increasingly remote work opportunities where you can work from an out-of-state company while living here. And that remote work, that's a big part of why people are still moving here. If you can work from anywhere, why not choose a place where your dollar goes further and you can actually afford a nice house? All right. So we've covered the money and the jobs, but here's what I think really makes San Antonio special, and something that doesn't show up in those national rankings. The city has a lot of soul. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but I mean it. San Antonio is the seventh largest city in the United States, but it doesn't feel like a massive interpersonal metropolis. It feels like a big city that hasn't forgotten it's all about community. People actually talk to each other here. You go to your local taqueria and they remember your order. You go to the same HEB and you recognize people. There's a warmth to the city that is genuinely haven't felt in other major cities. And a huge part of that is the culture. San Antonio's 64% Hispanic, and that Mexican and Tejano culture influences everywhere in the best possible way. Let's talk about the food, because this is non-negotiable for a lot of people. The taco game here is legendary. I'm not exaggerating when I say you could eat tacos from a different place every day for the year and not hit all the good spots. And I'm not talking about chain restaurants. I'm talking about family-owned places that have been here for 30, 40, 50 years. Breakfast tacos are a religion here. If you know, you know. And if you don't know yet, you're about to find out. Beyond tacos, and yes, there is life beyond tacos, you've got incredible barbacoa, puffy tacos, which are San Antonio thing. Amazing Tex-Mex, legit barbecue, and one of the best food scenes in Texas. The Pearl area has really elevated the dining scene in recent years. Now, let's talk about the different flavors of the city, because San Antonio isn't one homogeneous place. The micro markets here are really distinct personalities. King Williams, this is a historic San Antonio, beautiful Victorian homes from the late 1800s. Tree-lined streets. It's where they get that old money Texas charm, but with younger families moving in and renovating. Alamo Heights, this is the established wealthy area of San Antonio. Top-ranked schools, gorgeous properties, and yep, it comes with a price premium, but if you can afford it, it's one of the best school districts in the region. Stone Oak, this is where a lot of families land, newer construction, good schools, safe, lots of amenities. It's more suburban, but in a this is where you raise your kids kind of way. Southtown, this is the arts district, more eclectic, younger demographic, great walkability. First Friday art walks, it's the cool part of the town. If we're being honest, the Pearl, this is the area, becomes the amazing mixed unit development with a farmers market, restaurants, shopping, culinary institute. It's where San Antonio shows it can do modern upscale development. The medical center area, northwest side, built around the South Texas Medical Center. Lots of medical professionals live in the area, good schools, easy access to healthcare, obviously. And then you've got the surrounding hill country. This is one of San Antonio's biggest lifestyle advantages. Within an hour, you can be in Fredericksburg with the wineries and the German heritage. You can be tubing down the Guadalupe Canal River in New Braunfels or Green. You can be hiking in Texas Hill Country, which is absolutely beautiful in the spring when the wildflowers bloom. People don't always think of San Antonio as an outdoor city, but between Greenway, trail systems, the state parks nearby, and the hill country, you've got legitimate access to nature. Look, San Antonio doesn't give you New York's theater scene or Los Angeles' beach culture, Austin's live music obsession, but what it gives you in something that's increasingly hard to find in major American cities, it gives you a sense of place, of community, of culture that's real and lived, not manufactured for tourists. Although, yes, we have the tourist stuff too, with the Riverwalk and the Alamo. But here's the thing. Locals actually use the city. We go to the Riverwalk. We go to Fiesta. We go to the rodeo. There aren't just tourist traps. They're part of the culture. This is a city where you can build a life, not just make a living. All right. We've covered a lot of positive and generally believe in the city. I've built my life and career here, but if I'm going to be the trusted voice for San Antonio real estate, I need to be honest with you about the challenges because every city has problems and San Antonio is no exception. Let's talk about what we need to know before we move here. Challenge number one, infrastructure and traffic. San Antonio's infrastructure is struggling to keep up with the growth. Our major highways, I-10, I-35, 1604 loop, they get congested. Now, is it at Austin level bad? No, it's bad as Houston, Dallas, not quite, but it's getting worse. And the construction to fix it seems perpetual. If you're commuting from the far northwest side to downtown during rush hour, you're looking at 45 minutes to an hour. Easy. And there's no great public transportation to solve that problem. VIA is our public transit system. And look, it exists, but it's not comprehensive. It's not like you can go car free in San Antonio unless you live and work in a very specific area. This is still very much a car city. Challenge number two. We've already mentioned this, but let's get deeper. Property taxes. Remember how I said that the average effective rate is around 2.2 to 2.5. Let me show you what that actually really means in a real life example. Your property taxes will likely go up over time as your home appraisal value increases. And in hot markets, which parts of San Antonio still are, your home appraisal value can jump 10% over a year. Texas does have a homestead exemption that caps your appraisal value, increase it 10% per year for your primary residence. That's something, but 10% is still 10%. Now, here's something important. You can and should protest your property taxes every single year. I'm actually planning a whole video on this because it's something every homeowner here needs to know how to do. But just know that those taxes are real, they're significant, and they're part of living in Texas. Challenge number three, healthcare costs. This one surprises people. Despite San Antonio being a major healthcare hub with excellent medical facilities, healthcare costs here are actually 11 to 18% above the national average. I don't have a great explanation for why this is, given the competition and the number of facilities we have, but the data shows it consistently. If you're retired or you have significant healthcare needs, this is something to factor into your budget. Challenge number four, The heat. June, July, and August, we're talking 95 to 105 degrees. And it's not just hot, it's humid. Because we're not as dry as West Texas or Arizona, it's that sticky, heavy Texas heat. If you hate heat, you're going to have a bad time for 4 to 5 months out of the year. Your electric bill will reflect this reality. AC is not an option, it's a survival. Challenge number 5, education. This is nuanced, so stay with me. San Antonio has some excellent schools. Alamo Heights Independent School District, Northeast Independent School District, parts of Northside Independent School District. Texas has a whole ranks around 35 nationally in education, and San Antonio reflects that mixed picture. Some districts are great, soon, and struggling. You really need to do your homework of school districts if you have kids. The variance between district is significant. You can have an excellent school in one area and struggling one literally 5 miles away. School quality often correlates directly with the home prices, which creates its own affordability challenge. Look, I'm not trying to scare you off, but I'm trying to give you the truth. San Antonio has infrastructure challenges, high property taxes that offset no tax benefit, higher than expected healthcare cost, brutal summers, and an educational system that varies widely by area. These are real. These will affect your life if you move here, and you need to factor them into your decision. But here's the thing. Every city has a trade-off. The question is whether San Antonio's trade-offs are ones you're willing to accept in exchange for what the city gives you. So after all of that, is San Antonio a good place to live in 2026? My answer, it depends on what you value. If you value affordability, real affordability, where a middle-class income can still get you a middle-class lifestyle. If you value culture and community that feels genuine, not manufactured. If you want access to big city amenities without the big city price tag. If you want to build wealth through home ownership because your housing costs don't eat your entire paycheck, then yes, San Antonio is still a very good place to live. But if you can't handle heat, if high property taxes are a deal breaker, if you need world-class public transit, if you demand explosive economic growth and constant change, then you might not want to look elsewhere. San Antonio isn't trying to be Austin. It's not trying to be Dallas. It's not even really trying to be the next big thing. It's just trying to be San Antonio, a city with deep roots, strong culture, affordable living, and a genuine sense of community. And in 2026, when so many cities are pricing out normal people, when so many places have lost their cultural identity, when community feels increasingly hard to find, that's actually pretty valuable. The 2.56 million people who call this metro area home, they're not here by accident. They've done their math. They've weighed the trade-offs and they've decided what San Antonio offers is worth it. Will it be worth it for you? That's what you need to figure out. And hopefully this video has given you real information you need to make that decision. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I'm putting out honest content about San Antonio real estate every week. And there's more coming. If you're on the other side of this decision, if you're already here and thinking about selling, reach out to me today. I talk to many folks weekly just like you that are thinking about buying and selling right here in San Antonio. And here's a teaser for next week. I'm going to walk through exactly how to protest your property taxes here in Bexar County. Step by step, what actually works, how to save real money. You're not going to want to miss that one. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott Peck, and I'll see you in the next video.